Welcome back, everybody, to Rob's MetalWorks. We are here at the home studio. Yes, already having such a killer time. I'm going to introduce you guys to my bros in Relent. And what can I tell you, man? These guys have been on my hit list since last year. So I really wanted to get them on first thing in 2020. Not too bad, huh, guys? We're still in January. Welcome, Miggy and Gaston, to the program.
What's up, guys? What's up, man? How you doing? Thanks for having us, dude.
Oh, God. Yeah, we're already having a good time. Talking all about heavy music, the scene, and the band. So now let's share it with the people out there, because they're not privy to our private conversations. I first came to know about Relent last year, and you released Heartattack, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. But, I just kind of feel like Relent is on this fast track. There's so many things that are always kind of happening. People are coming on board pretty quickly, and 2019 was a stellar year for you guys. And it takes a lot of bands, I think, a few years to do what you guys have accomplished in such a short time. Tonight, there's going to be people who, for the first time, are hearing about Relent, so I think we should kind of start there just for those people. Not only in San Antonio, but around the world who watch our program. Let's share a little bit about the beginnings.
For sure. So I started the project in January of 2016, so we're going on 4 years now. And it was honestly birthed out of, like, a mix of personal life, what's going on in my personal life, versus, like, I've always wanted to write music like this. Like, I think now's the time. And so we just pulled the trigger on it, man. And Chris, my guitar player, and I, we were in a sanctuary at church and just kind of like, dude, let's write some riffs. Let's see what happens. We didn't know. It was on my heart to do it. It was on my mind. I was like, dude, I just got to get this thing out. If it doesn't work out, cool. Like, let's do this, We wrote a couple of songs, wrote some riffs, and ended up recording them. And, dude, it just went from there. Like you said, this has been like this fast track to, like, we've been hitting it. It's crazy. It just started rolling, and now we're here in 2020. We released an album already. We've been on the road quite a bit, for the past couple of years, and so it's been cool, man. It's been super fun.
Were you always kind of like, when you got together and started doing original stuff, was it always kind of like heavy stuff? Were you already into metal? I mean, I know, because we've been talking about El Nino and Chord and all these other bands, but for the people out there, I mean, was that always kind of, I mean, obviously, you grew up in San Antonio with a rich metal heritage. So was that always kind of like, you were always into heavy stuff?
Always, yeah. From the get-go, man. From the day one, really. My dad was a metalhead, and so it was kind of always around us. So it was, you listen to it if you didn't like it or what. That's all we're listening to. So yeah, but I love it. I grew up a metalhead. So yeah, it was very much the heavy stuff. It's where it came from. It was driven by us because we grew up in it. So
soon thereafter, when you started jamming with him, then the Relent was born. Did you said, hey, let's make a band?
Yeah. So really getting into it. I mean, Relent. There's no secret, man. We're a Christian band, so I won't stray away from that. That's something we take pride in, and it's just that's really what it came from. We grew up in the metal scene in San Antonio. Played in multiple bands growing up, and we saw clubs come and go. We saw people come and go, and it was just one of those things where it was like we had a break from music. You kind of hit this turning point in your life, and that's where I hit it. It's like, man, like something's different. I need something different in my life, and I can't figure out what it was. And so that's where God came into play for me. Personally, this wasn't like I didn't drag anybody with me. This was like I took time from my other bands and like, dude, I need something's wrong here. So definitely, Jesus ended up being that void that I was missing. Once all that took place, I kind of quit music for a few years, man, and then really I was like, you know what? I really feel like music. Yeah. It's still my thing, So that's what birthed Relent. That's what you see now, and so heck yeah, man.
Yeah, that's cool because I think, one of the posts I put on Facebook leading up to this interview was, like I said, I'm relentless in the passion for what they do, and I think that's one of the things that attracted me to the band right away when I really started just like knowing about the band, that how passionate you were, about your message, and I know you guys throw down live, and like you don't see bands throw down hard every time unless they fucking love what they're doing. So we'll talk a little bit. I do want to talk about the message and that love for Christ that you have. We've interviewed several Christian bands in the past, and there always seems to be that kind of like corazon in there that you have to have. The ganas that gives you the corazon to work so hard in doing what you do. Now, I think last week I mentioned, San Antonio has such a rich metal history and a rich metal diversity in what we're doing. And one of the things that I love about Relent is that you guys are kind of delivering like your own vibe. Like we got thrash metal, death metal, and you guys are kind of doing like this new kind of new metal stuff. It's very melodic. I've always loved melody in my metal. And when I hear your songs, it's like I can jump right into the track. It's not like I have to sit there and think about it, and listen to it like 4 or 5 times. I remember when I first heard Rise, I was like, the first fucking 5 seconds, I was like, yeah, I'm in it. Yeah, I'm fucking was in it right away, man. So like,
also everywhere, it's like this in the house, man.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of kind of what you're doing. That fans, you just kind of can jump right into it and start rocking out. I mean, that's what music's all about. Yeah. So what do you tell people you're delivering?
Yeah, I mean, we're just passionate, dude. We're passionate, and then I think putting the label Christian on it, some people kind of like, if I were to tell you up front before you ever saw us, before you ever heard a song, we're a Christian band. Immediately, naturally, you already have these diagnostics of like, oh, it's gonna sound like this, feel like this. I get it. Cool.
You don't have to do that though.
You don't. No, I think that's the one thing with Relent. Like the creativity is really unlimited as far as what we can do. And I think I'm not saying we're the best. I mean, there's guys who've done it that have killed it way before we did. And so I just think, I mean, we let our live show kind of speak for itself. And
so what do you call it? What do you tell people if someone says to you guys, "And what are you all delivering musically?" What do you say?
Pretty much just hope. It's like, what does your music bring? Hope. What does it sound like? It sounds like hope. Like, what does that mean? Like, come check us out live. Basically,
it's hard to put passion into words. It really is. And you meet some of the most passionate people in the world. It's hard for them to explain what they do because there's so much around what they do. They can't just put it into one sentence. Right. So it's like talking to Michael Jordan and be like, "Yo, like what is it that makes you just come see me play? You'll see. You'll see. You know what I'm saying?
You'll feel it, not see it, feel it.
Yeah, exactly. So things like that. Yeah. Props to Michael Jordan. Yeah. Trying to get that endorsement, dude. Yeah. Man, them J's, bro.
2019 was such a stellar year for the band. I mean, you released your debut, Heartache, in March, and it just kind of like snowballed from there. You guys had a lot of great shows. Let's take a moment and talk about, March is a couple of months away, so the record's almost a year old, but still very, very, significant record that came out in our regional scene this past year. And I remember messaging with Gaston, I was like, man, I love your record. I want to talk about it. Let's just wait till next year to do it. It just wasn't working out for me, but that's why I wanted to get you guys on early. There were so many great songs on that record. Yeah. Rise, of course, was the single, but I'm still a fan of like songs like Addicted and the opening track. I mean, I love all those songs. How do you feel about what happened with Heartache this past year?
We knew. So if we can rewind, we released the album in March. I want to say South by Southwest was one of our first shows for the year, and we kind of had to sit down and we were like, "Yo, like this is it's time to get real. Like, are we really about to like do this?" Because we felt like something was gonna happen with the album. I'm not saying like again it's the best album. We just knew in our heart something's about to happen. Are we ready for that? Are we ready to tour? Are we ready to take this serious?
Because it's a huge commitment.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, especially like if something comes up and says, "Oh, you guys want to go out on a tour for 6 weeks," or media obligations. It's a huge commitment to support a piece of art like this.
Exactly. Financially, it's like emotionally, physically, all that stuff, comes into play. And then we were like, yeah, this is it. And literally, we said yes and released the album. And then it was just like tour. Like we were just like just everywhere. And it was just so cool. We were happy with what happened with the album. again, we spoke earlier about it. It's a little frustrating because it took us a year and a half to get the album out.
Right.
You know, because of finance and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
with DIY at the time. This is all from our pockets, everything we've done, and so it took us a while to get the album out. So in between that time of getting the album out, we're still writing music, we're still practicing, we're still learning about our craft, we're still growing as artists. So we're like, this is the stuff we want them to hear, but this is what they're hearing right now. Yeah. So, you know, but it was, man, the response was great. It really opened up doors for, I mean, just so many things, festivals, magazines, just radio plays. Yeah. It's been good, man. It's been really cool to see, dude, for sure.
I've seen all the media you guys are getting.
Yeah.
So it makes me feel happy, you know, when I can see that a band from San Antonio is getting recognized, you know, all over for the work that they're doing. I'm like, yeah, I'm not the only one that's getting off this shit. I mean, people are recognizing that, you know, these dudes are doing their thing. And I again, and I can't stress this enough for the people out there. I mean, there's not a lot of bands who are doing what you guys are doing. I mean, there's a lot of thrash bands out there. You know, there's a lot of fucking progressive metal bands out there. There's not a lot of bands who are doing like new metal and doing it well. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I love death metal, but you know, you got to do it well for me to respect you in that genre. And you guys are doing the new metal genre just right, man. We were jamming the Heartache here in the studio. It sounds fucking great. And you guys are telling me, you know, you guys have recording your new stuff, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Did y'all do Heartache in Houston too?
We did it actually here in San Antonio with Corey Bruneman. He's a very well-known producer here in town, and he's amazing, man. And we love working with him, and so he kind of really set us up with what you hear on the album, and he was a big part of that as well. Yeah. He's so good at what he does, so heck yeah. Hey.
Good stuff, man. Sounds great. Yeah. You got to invest in that recording. I talked about Rise being kind of like the first single. Great track. I can listen to that song over and over.
I think that's the one song that we just hate playing live.
Why?
Now. I mean,
don't say that.
I mean,
that was the first song we wrote as a band. So that song is literally like 4 years old now.
Yeah, they had.
But people are just
I was even in the band, so it was you know,
people are just getting hold of it. Like, oh, dude, that's the song. We're like, no, dude. The next track, go to the next one. But no, I mean, it's cool, man. People love it, and it's really a song that, as a whole, represents our style in one song.
Yeah, I think it represents kind of the message.
Yeah, if it definitely hits it on point, and so you get a big chunk of what we are in that one song.
Like if we had an anthem, that would be Relent's anthem was Rise. So it's done good for us. So
So man,
let's talk about too. I mean, we have to talk lyrically about what you're saying and who the band is, you know, because I think that there's fans out there, you know. I'm a kind of fan that I first like kind of want to get into the metal music and the vibe, and then I get into the message. Yeah. You guys definitely have a message. There is kind of this holistic theme with regards to Heartattack. So if you had to kind of put it all in one, what would the message be?
For the album?
Yeah.
For the album, definitely.
Not just the album, but like for who you guys are as a band.
Word. God is amazing. I mean, that's really what it is, man.
Why do you say that? Because I think while, you know, we all go through our tribulations, very few of us find that hope and salvation in God or Christ to find the strength to persevere. You know, we hear about people committing suicide all the time because they can't find that passage. They give up on life. You know, they just give up hope. They're like, okay, this is my rut in life. While some people can say, you know, hey, I can continue to work hard and make things happen for myself and find myself better on the other side. What happened to you, Miggy? I don't want to get too personal, but I think it's important for you to share why Christ has reinvigorated your life, and that might help other people kind of find that path too.
Yeah, for sure. No, definitely, man. If we rewind, and again, this has only been going on for 4 years. I gave my life to Jesus, man, like 6 years ago. It hasn't been that long. No. You know, so it's like I'm still learning a whole lot, but I absolutely, with all my heart, know that he saved me. And if we rewind a few back, even with Gaston's story, it's like 6 years ago, he was still dealing dope. You know what I'm saying? Like we were still doing some crazy stuff. And not saying that you know, God can't. He obviously worked through that. And I think our biggest thing is like, if he did it with us, like he can do it with anyone. Like we were retarded, like there was some stuff that we even talk. We have like we'll be on the road and we'll talk about. Do you remember that one time we? I should have died. You know, just like I should have been dead. And that's the stuff we're dealing with. So we're just normal dudes, man. We didn't do anything right. We didn't grow up in church. We didn't. This isn't like this thing that was kind of like spoon fed to us. Like we had to learn the hard way. And
how did that introduction happen? I mean,
it was crazy, man. Like I said, God is amazing, and He will speak and work through anything. And I think now society is kind of limited. He only speaks at church. Or he only speaks through a pastor. And I was like, no, He speaks through everything. Yeah, the Bible says like the rocks literally cry out. You know, it's just like, so He can speak through anything. He spoke through a donkey in the Bible. That's cool. That's a cool story if you want to read that one up. But me personally, man, I grew up very depressed, very suicidal.
You went to Burbank, bro?
I know. Dang it, right?
How many toes I have? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1.
We're gonna talk about the origins of Relent later and the San Antonio metal scene. But I'm sorry, dude. I couldn't help myself.
Right, but no, definitely. I mean, I'm just a normal dude who grew up with that stuff. My outlet was music, obviously, but there came a point where music stopped doing it. So then I got into drugs. Then I got into alcohol. Then I got into sex. Right. Became a sex addict. Then stuff like that. Just being real, man. These are the things. These are the things that I really dealt with, man. And my first suicide attempt, 11 years old. Like who does that? You know what I'm saying? And so these are just questions I had in my head growing up my whole life. And then at 25 years old, still having it just drives you nuts. You're like, I'm a grown man and I'm still dealing with this stuff. Right. Long story short, man, I ended up in a beach in Jacksonville, Florida. I was on tour with this band called Dead Like You. And I was just miserable, dude. Like so miserable. And I remember going on the beach. It must have been like midnight. By the way, Jacksonville's a really violent city. Yeah. Because it's I'm literally on the beach and you just hear it. It's like, dang, dude. I was like,
it was Limp Bizkit. It was like keep rolling.
And man, in all seriousness, man, I had this moment where I was like, I don't even know how to pray. Like I don't even know what that means, what that does. Yeah. And I was just like, God, like, what the hell is this? Like, this is supposed to be my dream, and I'm miserable. I'm on tour. I'm miserable. I'm supposed to be happy, and I'm not. Yeah. And I promise you, and the only way I could describe it was, and I tell everybody they think I'm crazy, but I literally heard a voice that shook me to my bones that told me to go home. And I didn't know what that meant. I was homeless at the time. I was just a musician trying to make it. You know what I'm saying? Got home, and man, just God lined all this crazy stuff up. Ended up at a church here in San Antonio.
Are these like non-denominational churches?
Yeah, it was a non-denominational Christian church, man. Very easygoing. Man, they were real accepting of who I was and what I brought to the table as far as, everything I was dealing with. And just had this real encounter with Jesus, man. And it was just amazing. And it shook me. It shook me to the point where, I gave up everything. Like, it wasn't easy. I'm not saying this thing was easy, but the addictions, all those things didn't compare to what I encountered, and it was so real, bro. And so, going into Relent is like, those are the encounters, those are the stories, these are the testimonies that I want to share and be like, yo, I was a normal Burbank high schooler dude who didn't have much going for him, but I had tons of issues, man. But God is amazing, and He took that stuff, man. So it's cool.
Thank you so much for sharing that story. I think it's an important part of Relent. Is I like listen to your lyrics and I see the band play and the things that you say in between the songs. And I think that many people out there will relate to that on their own level. But I just wanted to make sure to get that out there. Okay, so Heartache came out in March. It snowballed into this beautiful thing. People are loving it. We're a year in. 2020 is upon us now. I know you guys are doing new music. We heard a new song tonight. Heard a new killer fucking song tonight called Low. Let's talk about what you guys have planned for the fans and the scene in 2020. You can start wherever you want. If you first want to start talking about the new release, then let's go there.
Yeah, I mean, we're recording. We'll be releasing stuff really soon. But we have, I guess, I don't know, to put it in better words, we have the support really now.
How can I say this?
Say it without saying it.
We've been trying to get Relent off the foundational ground, but obviously that takes quite a bit of money with releasing albums to marketing. We've done this for the past 4 years out of pocket, but we've have several offers on the table to where it'll no longer be out of our pocket. Can't really say exactly what that is, but I'm sure people can read between the lines. And we'll be announcing a lot of stuff shortly. But we do have backing now to get us out there, places that we've never been to before, even out of the country. So that's.
So is the plan? I mean, well, first of all, let me ask you this: the new music that's going to come from Relent will be a full length or an EP?
It's a full length for sure.
It's a full length. So when will the full length drop? When do you want it to drop?
Oh, I wanted to drop tomorrow, but I can't really do that.
So you guys already have all the recording done? I mean, are you still recording?
We're still recording, still writing.
And talk a little bit about that. Earlier we said that Heartache was done in San Antonio, but you were telling me off camera that the new shit's recording in Houston.
Yeah, so we'll be recording in Houston, Black Book Sound, with a really good friend of ours, man. He's amazing. He actually got to work, the band I was telling you about that I was on tour with before it had the whole Jesus thing. He actually recorded an EP for us, and that's what kind of set us up. And so he's amazing, man. We got to work with him this past weekend in Houston, and dude, it just like the door just opened. It was like, dude, it's killing.
So y'all did that low song, that track, just like this past weekend?
Yeah, word. This
like
past
in a
week.
Session, like in one day?
Yeah, no, we were there for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah,
Okay,
just for one single. Yeah.
I was gonna say, shit, it sounds pretty good.
No, man,
yeah, you can't do that in one day.
It took a lot out of us.
And guys, I heard the track that they played for me tonight, and they said, "Oh, Rob, this is a rough," and it didn't sound like a rough. It sounded like sounded like the real song on the record. Yeah, really good. Great. So hopefully you guys can get that out early.
Yeah, I would hope so. Like I said, it's really depending on the support we have now. We'll be announcing that soon. As soon as we can get things on track with them, we'll see what they feel is the right time to pull that trigger.
Any titles yet for the new record?
No, I don't. No.
No, not yet.
I feel like because this kind of happened. Like we went with this intention with this last week with the song, and this is gonna be the title. We're gonna go this way, and we got there, and the producer was like, "Nope, we're going this." You know, it was kind of like, and so I don't want to put a title on it. Yeah, okay. But it's very it's different. It's a lot different from Heartattack.
That was gonna be my next question. So what's the vibe? So Heartattack had a vibe. What's the vibe for this one?
It's dark, man. It's real. Like I said, the stuff I dealt with, the depression, the suicide, even as a Christian, like I still deal with things, you know, and I think there's a lot of Christians that just don't feel comfortable talking about it, but I do, you know, and it's really dark. It's really like, there's nights where I can't take it. There's things I walk through, and I'm sure a lot of people deal with this, and we learn this on the road. When you encounter people like, dude, that's me, like, I get it, you know, that no one understands me, and I was like, dude, I get you, homie, like, let's talk about that, you know. And
you have the outlet of music. Some people don't even have in any type of outlet to kind of release all that anger and you know, hatred, fucking frustration, the resentment, all of those things that they have in their hearts. They don't have an avenue by which to release it, and that's why those people succumb to life,
suicide and stuff. Yeah, man, you see that stuff, so it's crazy. But yeah, definitely taking a new approach. Not so much lyrically. I would just say
we're definitely hitting all the hot topic buttons that a conventional church doesn't necessarily talk about.
Right.
All the dark stuff, like, you know, the suicide, the dark thoughts that we get in our heads sometimes. They want to, you know, a lot of people want to portray Christianity as this. Oh, once you get to Jesus, everything's good.
You're perfect.
Everything's
You're
good.
perfect.
And that's far from the truth.
Right.
And that's some of the things that we'll talk about.
Right. And you know, I'm glad you say that because it is a predisposition that people think like, oh, you're a Christian, okay, you're perfect, and we're not. You know, being Christian means like, hey, we want to try.
Follow Christ.
We're humans and we succumb to temptations and things like that. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm excited for me. I think it's gonna piss a lot of people off, but it's also gonna open a lot of new ears.
And I think every time we succumb, we come back stronger.
Oh, for sure.
For sure, right?
That was the story behind Rise. Really was like, it's just I got to rise.
Choose to rise. Yeah, I got it. Okay, great. Let's talk about shows now. You guys are and first of all, unfortunately, this interview will air after, but you guys are going to be playing the Vernon of Persia release party tomorrow. I'm going to be there. I'm going to check you guys out. So I can't wait to see you guys. What were some of the highlights for you, kind of live in 2019? Obviously, you guys played lots of shows. I've seen tons of live footage of you guys on YouTube. And I was telling you, off camera, I was like, man, every time I see you guys throw down, man. Yeah. I think that's one of the strengths too of Relent is that you guys just have such a great live show. There's like so much energy in it. Like people just get into it.
That's one thing we continue to push ourselves is the live show. Yeah. Like if we can't move people with our enthusiasm with what we're doing, what's gonna make them want to talk to us afterwards? And that opens up the doors to like, hey, conversations about like, how are you feeling right now? Like,
Right, I agree. So any highlights of 2019?
Yeah, dude. There's tons, man. I mean, I guess the album release show in April would really kind of started off. It was packed house. It was just one of those. At Fitzgerald? It got real for us. No, you're good. It got real for us. That really opened the door. Let's see, highlights. We played
Chains and Chain Festival
in
Missouri.
Oh God,
Missouri. For some reason, there's something in Missouri water, but they freaking love us over there. Like, it don't matter where it's at in Missouri. Like, they come out for Relent, and it like blows my mind.
Because y'all are the only Mexicans in Missouri.
I know. They think we had the tacos.
Funny story.
Man. Off camera.
They'll tell you off camera. Yeah, they probably have to be off camera because some of them are pretty. Pretty racist.
Wow. I can imagine. Believe it or not, I think I might edit this out. But believe it or not, the dudes who are the founders of Vernon of Persia, the guitar player and the drummer, they're brothers. They're from Missouri.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so they
I didn't even know that until the interview. Okay. Yeah, they're from fucking Missouri.
And they don't say Missouri. They say we're from Missouri. I was like, Missouri? Where's that?
Anyway, Chains and Chain Fest was amazing. That was one of those shows where it was like, and we got live footage for days on that show, and it was one of those where I hardly had the mic in my hand. That was one of my first experiences with those things where it's like, oh, y'all want to sing this? Oh, here, like I don't know, so it was really cool, man. It was just an awesome show.
Now I know you guys go out and play. You guys go out of San Antonio and play shows. What would you like to do with road work as far as 2020? Do you guys really want to do a tour once a new record comes out and get out there? Obviously, you were telling me off camera that there's some opportunities for you to kind of do some bigger things. Talk about that real quick. I mean, as much as you can.
Yeah, there's a few things that have been announced already. So we'll be in Mexico in April. That's pretty cool. Nice. That's our first out-of-country experience. We'll be, I think we can announce this because they're announcing it next week anyways. So I'm just going to say it. We'll be in Germany in October.
Nice.
And that'll be our first out of country, or second out of country.
Yeah, this and like so over the ocean. So
over the ocean, the scary part, man. So we'll be there. We got a huge tour in July with Disciple and 7 Day Slumber, Conviction, Spoken, which are, I mean, these dudes are like pioneers in like Christian rock. So to be on the same, page as them is like, dude, this is nuts. So it's cool, man. So we got some cool stuff planned out. There's some other stuff we can't talk about yet, but people will know. It's really cool, man. Like we've never done it before. So
if anyone has a tour bus out there, we definitely need one of those. So hit us up. Yeah.
I'm sure it'll work out. God will bless you, man, as He has already. Guys, what a great conversation. I think we covered really all the bases tonight, and I appreciate your candor and talking about some of the personal things with regards to Relent, because you guys are throwing down real things. You know, the Relent is a real band. We talk about real, things, and to put yourself out there in front of the fans in a real way, I think speaks volumes to who you are and the integrity of this band. And that's why I wanted to fucking interview you. So I appreciate all that you've given me tonight. Any last words, anything you want to share with people around the world who will watch this?
Just stay tuned, man. Thank you for the support thus far. It's been amazing, dude. I will say that it's been. I mean, the emails, the messages we get, just from anything we do, it's like, what the heck? Like this dude in Russia emails like, you're in Russia. Like, what? That's crazy, bro. And it's just amazing, man. Like how many people know about Relent now, and it's just so cool to see. We are humbled by it, but just stay tuned. It's about to get cray. So,
Gaston, give me some words.
Just the same thing. Just thank everyone for the support over the past about 2.5 years that we've been really doing it. But 2020 is supposed to be huge for us. We'd love for everyone to come along with us, so just stay tuned. And just thank you, Rob, for having us, man. It took me 15 years to get here, but
I've met Rob when I was like 9, so it took me. I won't say how long ago that was, because then you'll know my age.
Yeah, but just thank everyone for the support. We really appreciate that.
Dreams come true.
Yeah.
Guys, it's been such a huge pleasure to have you here. And, even off camera, as we were jamming to music and just talking about our memories. One last question before I let you go. How much time you got, Thomas?
5.
Okay, we got enough time. And I'll edit all this, but I was remiss to ask, and I said I was going to ask you about the San Antonio metal scene. You guys grew up in the San Antonio metal scene. You're talking about, being fans of Rob's when you were 10. And your parents and your dads taking you to shows and stuff. And, you guys are part of it. We've seen our music scene evolve. And I remember Gaston was sharing a story about Rick from the White Rabbit earlier, about the crazy antics that he used to do, and all these crazy memories. And so quickly, as we have a little bit more time, when you think about the San Antonio metal scene, and it's kind of hard to talk about our metal scene because it's like, we've become so worldly because of social media. It's like Rob's is not just a San Antonio show anymore. Rob's is a worldwide show now. And you guys have fans all over the world now. And social media and the internet has allowed us that luxury. But still, we're from here. And when we go to shows, we see people. How do you feel about what's happening in San Antonio with regards to clubs, or with regards to other bands, or with regards to fans? I mean, just whatever comes to the top of your mind.
Whew. I would be first. I will say there's been much of like a sifting, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because the sifting will kind of like weed out the bad, and you kind of, what's left is the good stuff, right? So I think we've seen that in the past few years, where it's kind of like everything kind of shook up. Things that we were used to are no longer there. Things like the White Rabbit, stuff like that. These clubs are no longer available to us. But these new things are coming up, and you kind of got to I know for us, it was like, oh, okay, I can get used to this. This is kind of, but I think just new things are happening, man. And times are changing, and things are just changing. And so,
do you feel positive about it? Do you feel like indifferent about it? What is it? How do you feel about it?
I feel like it's in the beginning stages of being something amazing again.
Yeah.
Because it was amazing. I grew up in it. When I grew up in it, that's all I wanted to do. Yeah. I was like, I want to be the man. I want to be the man. I want to be the man. Because I wasn't around it. My dad, everyone, I was just around it. Yeah. So it's like, it's in the beginning stages for me of being amazing again. Cool. There's amazing bands that are holding them. Werner the Persia is one of them. And boys from Ammo. These dudes are, so these dudes are just holding it down for Saytown. Yeah. Do that rhymed. Holding it down for but there's some bands that are holding it down for Saytown, man, and they're representing. So I think we're on our way up to something great.
Yeah. You guys are a part of that too. Gaston?
Yeah, man. I think we right now I see it like we're at a plateau. I think we're right on the cusp of something big for the scene locally. And like Miggy said, we've been sifting through the bands, and the ones that have come up are the ones that are really killing it right now. Ammo, Covina, There's a lot of bands, and they actually just got picked up on a deal. So congrats to those guys. But I think, looking back on the past, like the Meek shows, the Protein Shake shows, the Low Key shows, man, those shows on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, packed house. And I think it's a little bit of social media that kind of hurt that for us.
Of course.
But I think if we go back into that old way of thinking and just going out and hanging out at shows, and bringing that camaraderie back, I think that's what we need. But like I said, we're right there.
Right. Oh God, I so agree with you. I mean, you have to think about now there's oh nah, go to the show. I'll watch it on YouTube tomorrow morning. Someone will post a video. Yeah, I mean it's so.
By the way, that's weak. Don't do that. Go to the show. Don't watch it on live stream. No,
it's so different.
We live stream our shows sometimes. Don't watch it. Go to the show.
But we have to adapt with the changes. There's nothing we can do about it. But guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing everything. Remember, everyone out there, the band is called Relent. Their latest offering is called Heartache. It's already out on the streets since last year. Be sure to look for it tonight. Right after you watch this interview, new music from the band coming in 2020 and big things. They're going to represent San Antonio the right way. You saw Miggy and Gaston of the band only right here on Rob's MetalWorks.
Looking back on what I used to be, I thank God that I found peace. I found me, and not a stain remains. I won't stay the